Welcome to 755 Live, about 5 minutes of what Jesus said. We take the commands of Jesus and make little sound bites out of them just so we can more easily remember and hopefully obey the things that Jesus said. That's how he told us to go make disciples. You can find a different command of Jesus at our weekday Bible plan. It's really cool to read the Bible together. This is a 5-day-a-week plan that you can find at bible.today.church. And our Jesus said for today is take the cheap seats. This comes from Luke 14, verses 8 through 12. We're going to actually start in verse 7 to kind of get a little context here and read through verse 11, and then we'll come back and read verses 12 through 14. This is at a gathering, a meal function where Jesus was invited. And so we're going to pick up this story in verse 7 of Luke 14. When Jesus noticed that all who had come to the dinner were trying to sit in the seats of honor near the head of the table, he gave them this advice. When you are invited to a wedding feast, don't sit in the seat of honor. What if someone who is more distinguished than you has also been invited? The host will come and say, give this person your seat. Then you will be embarrassed and you will have to take whatever seat is left at the foot of the table. Instead, take the lowest place at the foot of the table. Then when your host sees you, he will come and say, friend, we have a better place for you. Then you will be honored in front of all of the guests. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. The soundbite version of this, Jesus said, take the cheap seats. Don't seek the place of honor. Don't exalt yourself, but humble yourself. And those who humble themselves will eventually be exalted. I had kind of a weird thought this morning thinking about this. It was a song, I think, from back in the 80s, Lionel Richie. I know some of you have no idea what I'm even talking about, but this song called Dancing on the Ceiling, and the music video, you know, the room actually turned upside down and people were actually dancing on the ceiling. Now, I was thinking about that because the way Jesus describes the kingdom of God is upside down. I mean, it literally is kind of like you are dancing on the ceiling, because in our culture, it doesn't seem like the way to be exalted is to be humble. It doesn't seem like the way to receive is to give. It doesn't seem like that it makes sense for us to love our enemies and pray for those and do good to those who hurt us and persecute us. But the kingdom that Jesus revealed is upside down because it's not based on physical things. It's a spiritual kingdom. And it's not all about us. Taking the cheap seats is about our heart. It's about our attitude. And as Jesus followers, church isn't about what we get out of it. It's about building others up by humbling ourselves. It's not, oh, I'm just not getting fed here. But actually the question is, who are you feeding? Who are you helping? We want the best seat at the table. We want what we want. We want access to the buffet. But Jesus told us that in the kingdom, things are upside down. Luke 22, 26 through 27, he said, among you, it will be different. Those who are the greatest among you should take the lowest rank, and the leader should be like a servant. What is more important, the one who sits at the table or the one who serves? Well, he says the one who sits at the table, of course, and that's true in our culture too. But in this kingdom, he says, but not here, for I am among you as one who serves. He was giving us an example. He was teaching us to take the cheap seats. It's not about being honored. It's not about having the best seat at the table, enjoying the things that we like. It's not about us being the focal point. It's about humility. We are here to serve, not to be served. Paul talks about this in Philippians 2. He says, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out for only your own interests, but take an interest in others too. Jesus summed this up explaining that it's not about us. In verse 12, then he turned to his host and he said, when you put on a luncheon or banquet, don't invite your friends, brothers, relatives, and rich neighbors, for they will invite you back, and that will be your only reward. Instead, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. Then at the resurrection of the righteous, God will reward you for inviting those who could not repay you. It's not about us. It's about the least of these. It's not about us having the best seat at the table. It's about us humbling ourselves, considering others more important than we are. Jesus said, take the cheap seats. How can we put that into action